yes, skip, skippity-doo, cheep-it-dubba-da-dubba-da-doo, cinquilla, skip-it-doo. I woke up in a
Now, usually whenever I'm at a low point of my life, I really don't like to upload videos or force myself to work on a project that I know it's probably gonna, stay unfinished like the rest of them. But just this one time, I want to make this a pretty quick video. I don't know how long it would last, but what I do know is that it's probably gonna be like a spiritual successor to, well, more like the spiritual third part of the creepypasta rating series, because SCP is mostly considered as a creepypasta. So I just found it fitting that after those videos I should make an SCP video. In this video we will just cover some of my favorite ones. We're not gonna cover them all unless I make more parts of this, but with this one single video I just plan to cover the following SCPs, and that's pretty much it. I don't have much to say as I am not in the greatest mood ever, but as long as I can pump out videos, I think it's gonna be fine. Without further ado, let's try to not force my voice any longer into a video. I'm genuinely getting tired of recording this much voice. So after recording the previous audio, I just realized that I forgot to explain how we're gonna do this. So yeah, I'll just leave it on screen before I put on the analog horror effects, and you bumbling it, fucking idiot. I just want to go back to bed. That's why my voice is so monotone right now. Move to Site 19, 1993. Origins as of yet unknown. It is constructed from concrete and rebar with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within a direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked container at all times. One personnel must enter SCP-173's container. No fewer than 3 may enter at any time, and the door is to be locked behind them. At all times, 2 must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have vacated and relocked. Oh boy, what can I not say about this SCP that hasn't been said already? He's one of the most iconic. He's the main reason why SCP exists, actually. I really don't have much to say about SCP-173, and I actually don't want to explain it, as I'm pretty sure most of you already know how it works. So we'll skip straight to the rating, and it's hard not to give the statue 10 out of 10 rating. Moving on to the next SCP. SCP-002 resembles a tumulous fleshy growth with a volume of roughly 60 cubic meters. An iron barb hatch on one side leads to its interior, which appears to be a standard low-rent apartment of modest size. One wall of the room possesses a single window, though no such opening is visible from the exterior. SCP-002 is to remain connected to a sewer power supply at all times to keep it in what appears to be a recharging mode. In case of an electrical outage, the emergency barrier between the object and the facility is to be closed and the area immediately evacuated. I really like SCP-002. It's something about those SCPs that are like fleshy, infectious, something like that. It's just something about that always captivates me and makes me want to read more. And honestly, SCP-002 is one of the ones that I find more underrated, as I don't feel like people talking enough about this one SCP overall. And with all this knowledge, I think I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's not the best SCP, but it sure keeps me captivated. Let's just move on to the next one. Due to the vast area of infection SCP-610 covers, containment is impossible. Isolation of the area has proven far more effective, and permission has been granted by the Russian government to establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations. Initial reports of SCP-610 came direct from the Russian government through undisclosable channels. These primarily consisted of disappearances of farmers in the region, and were not considered until the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally a government dispatch agent. All failed to report during a 72-hour period. This is what I was talking about when I said that I like flesh-inspired SCPs, and this is no exception. I really like this SCP. It's just one of the best. The amount of mystery around it, the expedition logs that are on the wiki is just perfect. Come to think of it, the signs remind me of the G-virus, some creatures of Resident Evil 2, and the concept of a virus and basically being a collective hive mind reminds me a lot about the Flood from Halo. So without further ado, this is 10 out of 10 for me. And let's just move on to the last one so I can finally go to bed. SCP-096 is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass, with preliminary analysis of body mass suggesting mild malnutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximately length of 1.5 meters. SCP-096 is to be contained in a cell, a 5x5x5 airtight steel cube at all times. Weekly checks for any cracks or holes are mandatory. There are to be absolutely no video surveillance or optical tools of any kind inside SCP-096's cell. Security with personnel will use pre-installed pressure sensors and laser detectors to ensure SCP-096's presence inside the cell. SCP-096 is normally extremely docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating it spends most of the time pacing by the eastern wall. However, when someone views SCP-096's face, whether it be directly via video recording or even a photograph, it will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. SCP-096 will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes after the first viewing, SCP-096 will begin running to the person who view its face, who will from this point on be referred as SCP-096-1. Oh boy, thank God this is almost over. So, as this is the SCP that I wanted to leave at last, since it's one of the most popular and one of my favorite ones as well. It's also like SCP-02, one of the first SCPs that I've ever learned of. Originally, I thought you weren't supposed to touch him, but that was because I was more young back then than I am now. But with all of that just in mind, well, at least in my mind, I can safely say that this SCP is a 10 out of 10 as well. Especially with the SCP-096-1-A incident. That's definitely gonna be one of my favorite stories. Anyways, to wrap up this video, I won't promise a part 2, but it's better that you stay on the lookout for it.